gacchami Dhammang saranang gacchami Sanghang saranang gacchami
Tutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami Dhammang saranang gacchami Sanghang saranang gacchami Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami Dhammang saranang gacchami Sanghang saranang gacchami
Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho
Vijacarana sampanno sugato lokavido Anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati Tata eva manusara Buddho bhagavati
Akato bhagavata
Didiko akaliko Ehipasiko ohanaiko Pacatam veditabo Trinuriti
Sukatipanno
Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Nyāyapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sāmichipatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Cattari purisa yugani apa purisa pugama Esa bhagavato sāvaka sangho
Ahuneyo
Ahuneyo dakineyo anjali karaniyo Anuttarang punya kitang lokasati
Vandami cetiyang
Saban sabatane supatitidang Saririkadatu mahabodhi Buddha rupam sakalam sada
Yasamule
Nisino wa sabari vijayang aka Pato sabanyutang sata Vande tang bodhipadapang
Imete
Mahabodhi lokanatena pujita Aham pite namasami Bodhi Raja Namarute
Sukho Buddhanam Upado. Happy is the birth of all Buddhas. Vesak commemorates the birth, the enlightenment, and the great passing away or Mahaparinibbana of the Buddha. These three events are of great significance to our lives because they show us a way how to live a peaceful, harmonious way of life. And they also show us the path, the way how we can overcome all sufferings, putting an end to the samsaric cycle of birth and death. In other words, to put an end to this cycle of birth, old age, sickness, and death. The birth of the Buddha was born as a human, but his birth, the circumstances around his birth, was not an ordinary one. Before he was born, he was dwelling in the celestial realm in Tusita heaven. And just before he took birth in the human realm, he considered 5 things. First, he considered the time, whether it was a proper time. And that was the era, the 6th century BC, was the era when Confucius and Lao Tzu was teaching in the Far East. And in the Middle East, there was prophet Isaiah. And in India, there were great Upanishadic thinkers. So that was an era of spiritual awakening. Buddha chose to be born at that time, that era. He also chose the country, the place, the country, and then he chose the clan, the family, and the mother. Ordinary human beings are not able to do these things. This is the result of the great cultivation of the Buddha from life to life. His birth is also a culmination, the culmination of the perfection of great virtues. Namely, there are the 10 perfections. The perfections of dana or generosity, sila, morality or restraint of speech and body actions, nekkhamma, renunciation, then khanti, patience, endurance, virya, energy, effort, satya, truthfulness, metta, loving kindness, wisdom, and equanimity. These perfections, Buddha practiced this from life to life, from life to life. And upon perfection, that's how he was born in amidst luxury, born to a ruling class as Prince Siddhartha. He had everything which the material world could offer. Yet he had the wisdom to see the fleeting nature of sensual pleasures. And that gave him that to renounce, to make the great renunciation in search for the truth. The truth that we talk about refers to the knowledge how to put an end to old age, sickness, and death. Now, throughout his lifetime, Buddha used the perfection, the virtues which he had perfected. Each time he encounters challenges, any challenge that he encountered, he makes use of the perfection of virtues. This is what is known nowadays as Sacha-kriya, by the act of truth, never resorting to violence. In one instance, when his own cousin Devadatta, who was jealous of him, Devadatta wanted to have the power after the Buddha. He wanted the Buddha to appoint him second in command. But the Buddha did not do that. So he got angry with the Buddha and he plotted against the Buddha. And this is how, through his plot, a wild elephant, intoxicated elephant, came charging before the Buddha. And what did the Buddha do? Buddha, just by the act of truth, through his perfection of metta, loving kindness, Buddha raised his hand and just gave metta to that intoxicated elephant that came charging before him. And with metta, as the Buddha radiated loving kindness, the elephant came before the Buddha and knelt down. Elephant kowtowed before the Buddha. This was how the Buddha used the act of virtues, act of truth, by the power of metta, loving kindness. And there was another event. And the event that happened just before his enlightenment, when he was challenged by Mara. Mara with his army came and challenged the Buddha and asked him what right has he got to sit there. And Buddha said that by virtue of he has perfected virtues, whatever evil things to be avoided, he has avoided. And whatever good to be done, he has done. He has performed it. Then Mara asked the Buddha, where are your witnesses? By then, all the devas and all have run away. Buddha was left alone. What did the Buddha do? Buddha just put his hand and pointed down to the earth. And this is what you see in the mudra, Buddha image, you see where the Buddha put his hands pointing to the earth. That's called the Bhumi Sparsha Mudra. Buddha just pointed to the earth. It's just like, let the earth bear witness. And at that point, the earth shook and water rose. And that's how Mara and his army was driven and was defeated. This is how the Buddha made use of his virtues, his great qualities, to overcome various challenges. Now, on the full moon day of the month of Vaishaka, after defeating Mara, Buddha, while seated on the Bodhi tree in Buddha Gaya, which is in the district of Bihar in northern India, as the Buddha was seated, his mind was so clear. Then three important knowledges arose in him. The first knowledge was about his past lives. He was able to see his past lives, his previous lives, very clearly. At first, he saw the immediate past life. Before he was born in the heavenly realms, in Tusita heaven as Setaketu, he was born as a prince, Vesantara. So like that, then he recalled the previous one. 2, 3, 4, 5 past lives. And then from there, multiples of them. 10, 100, thousands, and so on. And the Buddha was able to see his past life as far as he focused his mind. Even this world cycle, in other world cycle, Buddha was able to see his past lives. So, the tradition says that this knowledge that arose in him during the first watch of the night, and the first watch of the night is from about 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock. So you can understand, if you are watching a movie for 4 hours, you can see how much things can be seen. Yeah. Then, during the second watch of the night, the Buddha saw how beings die and are reborn according to their actions, according to their karma. This is called Chutupapata Jnana. The first knowledge was called Pubbe Nivasa Nusati Jnana, the ability to recall past lives. So, having seen his past lives and seen how beings die and are reborn, the Buddha saw the very different manifestations of suffering. Then came the third knowledge. And the third knowledge, the Buddha saw very clearly how suffering arises and how suffering ceases. And this knowledge has been passed down to us in the form of a formula. It is Paticca Samuppada, or dependent origination. Or sometimes it is a dependent co-origination. Why? Because the principle is this: what Buddha saw, dependent origination, when there is ignorance will condition sankharas, that means a lot of thoughts. Where there is ignorance, avijja, there is sankhara. And where is the sankhara? When we have lots of thoughts, then these thoughts also cloud our mind. So we become more ignorant. So avijja, pacha, sankhara. Sankhara, pacha also then. So this is what co-dependent origination. Then the Buddha saw, so Paticca Samuppada, or dependent origination, explains how suffering arises and how suffering ceases. So, when the Buddha taught in the first sermon, Dhamma Pavatana Sutta, Buddha simplified this teaching into the Four Noble Truths. And what are the Four Noble Truths? Because in these teachings of the Four Noble Truths lies the universal peace message of the Buddha. Because the Four Noble Truths has universal application. Now first, although many people, all of you, perhaps all of you would have heard about these Four Noble Truths. But the first truth the definition of the first truth is something that many people cannot fully understand. The first truth is called dukkha. In English, we use the word suffering or unsatisfactoriness, but it doesn't exactly convey the idea of what dukkha is really about. So if we go to the text in the Dhamma Sutta, in the first sermon, how the Buddha defined dukkha. This is how the Buddha defined dukkha. Buddha said, Jatipi dukkham, jarapi dukkham, vyadipi dukkho, maranampi dukkham. First, the Buddha explained suffering or unsatisfactoriness at the physical level. That means the pain, the suffering that you experience with your body at a physical level. Jadpi, birth, the pain that the mother goes through during childbirth. Then, jara, the process of decay and aging. Vyadi, sickness. Marana, death. Now, this is something that ordinary people can understand. You all can understand this as suffering. Then the Buddha goes on to explain beyond the physical suffering at the mental level. And Buddha said, Apyehi sampayoga dukkho, piyehi vipayoga dukkho. Apyehi sampayoga, people whom you don't like, conditions that are not pleasant, but you still have to associate, and that is not satisfactory, that is suffering. On the other hand, piyehi vipayoga dukkha, people whom you love, conditions that are very pleasant to you, you have to be separated from them. That is also dukkha. Then the third one is yampi channa labati tampi dukkham. That which you desire, you crave for, and you cannot get. Unfulfilled desires. This is also a source of suffering. So these three things, association with unpleasant people or unpleasant conditions, separation from loved ones or pleasant conditions, unfulfilled desires. These are sufferings at the mental level. And then, this is also something that everyone can understand, because we all go through these forms of unsatisfactoriness in our lives. Then the Buddha explained the more profound meaning of the word dukkha. And this is something which ordinary men and women in the street cannot understand. Buddha said, Sankitena panchupadana khanda dukkha. Sankitena panchupadana khanda dukkha. Buddha said, in short, in summary, I say, Pancha upadana khanda dukkha. These are compounded words. Pancha means 5. Upadana means grasping. Khanda. Khanda refers to the aggregates. So the 5 grasping aggregates are dukkha. Now, what are these 5 grasping aggregates? These 5 grasping aggregates refer to the aggregate of form, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Form, body, not only this body, whatever that appears when the eye sees visual objects, the ear hears sound, They are all rupa, they are physical processes. So in the same manner, there is rupa. Then Vedana. Vedana is our feelings of sensation. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, sometimes neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Then we have sanya, perception. Our ability to recognize things. And as a result of which, we also have memory, sanya. Then sankhara. Sankhara refers to our thoughts, mental formations. We create all sorts of thoughts in our mind, our imaginations. Yeah. And the next thing we have is consciousness. Yeah. We have that awareness. Something that appears before us, we become aware of, we are conscious of. So, these 5 things: form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. This is what the Buddha, through the laboratory of his enlightened mind, the Buddha analyzed and saw through what we call the self, what we refer to as this self. Buddha analyzed this into these 5 things. And then the Buddha said, Sankitena panchupadana khanda dukkha. The 5 grasping aggregates are dukkha. So, where there is grasping to what? Grasping to these aggregates. And what are these aggregates? Form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. And what is the characteristic of them? They are all subject to change. They are impermanent and they are all in a state of flux. This body, when you look at the body itself, yourself, you don't seem to notice change. But every day, there are trillions of cells that die, and there are new cells replenished. So, we are not able to see this process until we slow down our mind and go beyond our sensory perception. So, our feeling is constantly changing. Then our mind, our state of mind, change. One moment we say yes, next moment we say no. Total change. So everything, all these 5 things. So when there's a grasping, when we grasp onto something that is constantly changing, that is suffering. That is what is meant by the 5 grasping aggregates. Now this idea of the self, it is through this, it is a notion of the self. When we talk about I, my, me, mine, we are referring to this self. And we have a belief that there is something, there's something that is permanent, something that is non-changing. And this illusion, this notion, this false notion of self will give rise to the idea, the ego. That feeling of I, my, me, mine. And this is the cause, the root cause of all human problems. Now, we live in a conventional world. And in the conventional world, we still have to use these words I, my, me, and mine. But the reality is something else. And that is why those who are able to get into connect with Dharma, then they begin to see there is the conventional words and there's also another aspect of it, the reality. The reality is something else. So, this teaching, and this is something, the 5 aggregates, something that we can realize for ourselves. Through the teachings on mindfulness. Of course, when we talk about mindfulness today, it is so widely known, but people are referring mindfulness just to one aspect. It's for relaxation or something for stress control, management and so on. But mindfulness, what the Buddha taught in this Mahasatipatthana Sutta, there are 4 foundations. The mindfulness on body, mindfulness on feelings, mindfulness on mind, and mindfulness on Dharma. Now this is how mindfulness, as we develop mindfulness on the body, many people think mindfulness is just breathing in and breathing out. That mindfulness of breathing in and out is just one aspect of mindfulness on the body. But as we develop, there are 5 other aspects. There are 6 aspects of mindfulness on the body. As you turn your attention to develop mindfulness on the body, naturally you become aware of your feelings. Then your feelings will begin to fade away. As you observe your feelings, mindful of feelings, then you become aware of your mind, your state of mind. And when you look at your mind, when you turn your attention just at your mind, you don't see anything, but you have that perfect awareness is there. And all other things, the thoughts that arises, they are all advantages. So this is where the understanding of the true nature of mind is so important. When you understand true nature of the mind, you watch everything that arises, your thoughts, your memories, whether good memories, bad memories, they are all just coming and going. There is nothing that you can cling on. There's no real substance in them. And when you can see the true nature, you let go more and more, then your mind becomes very sharp, very clear. And that's how you develop mindfulness on Dharma. And there are 5 aspects. The word Dharma has got a very wide meaning. But in the cultivation of mindfulness and Dhamma refers to just 5 things. Our ability to see, first of all, the 5 hindrances, mental hindrances. When we develop our mind, we must become aware of what are the things that are hindering our progress. There are 5 mental hindrances, which I will not go through now. Then, when we are able to keep our 5 mental hindrances under control, and that's where the jhana factors arises. That's where one develops the samadhi. And through samadhi, we develop the insight. And we have the insight and we're able to see. That is how the next one is 5 aggregates. How the mind be able to see and experience these 5 aggregates. And how these 5 aggregates arise, they arise through a 6 sense basis. So we turn attention to observe the 6 sense basis, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind, and see how they function. We cannot see, we cannot hear, we cannot smell without thoughts. When we see something, thoughts arises. And we can analyze it. Those thoughts that arises, we can see the impressions of the 5 aggregates. Then, when we are able, the moment we are able to see and be able to become familiar with these 5 aggregates and the nature of these 5 aggregates, then we are ready to embark on what is called the 7 factors of enlightenment. And the 7 factors of enlightenment, step by step, leads one to the realization of Nibbana. And then, the 5th aspect of mindfulness and Dhamma is with regards to the 4 Noble Truths. Because by then, after you have practiced mindfulness properly, systematically, then you understand, you have clear understanding of what dukkha is about. Here you understand the dukkha in terms of the 5 grasping aggregates. And when you can see that dukkha, if you can truly penetrate and see dukkha, you will see the cause. And you will see the cessation. And then you will realize how it all came about. And you know the path, the way that leads to the cessation of dukkha. So, this is what Buddha's enlightenment is about. And it is through these teachings we can put into practice day by day, more and more. This is how we'll be able to put an end to this cycle of birth, old age, sickness and death. This is what I call ultimate, what you call liberation. So, it's of great significance to all of us, especially those of us who have become aware of what suffering is about, and we want to be free from suffering. Then the 3rd event, that is Mahaparinibbana, the great decease, the great passing away of the Buddha. Buddha did not pass away, Buddha did not die like ordinary beings. Ordinary beings go through a lot of fear and confusions in their mind when they die. Buddha passed away with perfect mindfulness and clear awareness. When the Buddha passed away, attained Mahaparinibbana at Kushinara, and his disciples, his close disciples, were all around there. Ananda saw, when the Buddha lying down in the lion posture, and Ananda saw the Buddha stop breathing. So Ananda thought the Buddha has passed away. So he cried, because Ananda has not fully developed his mind, so he still had the kind of emotions. And it was another disciple, Anuruddha. The Venerable Anuruddha was a cousin of Ananda. He at some point became blind. He could not see. But he has developed his 3rd eye. He has opened his 3rd eye. He was very clairvoyant. He could actually see the mental state of the Buddha. Then he was the one who told Ananda, no, the master is not gone. And then he described of how the Buddha, while lying down in his last moments, Buddha developed from 1st jhana to the 2nd jhana, 3rd jhana, 4th jhana, and went right up to the 8th jhana. And after the 8th jhana, Buddha brought his mind down to the 1st jhana. And from the 1st jhana, Buddha pitched his mind to the 2nd, 3rd, and the 4th jhana. And then Buddha attained Mahaparinibbana. That's it. Now, this is something which ordinary human beings are not able to do. And not only that, this process of beings, enlightened beings, who are able to pitch their mind to the very high state, meditative state, this is not easily understood by ordinary beings. But those who have developed to that state can understand how there are beings in this world, those who have developed a great wisdom and compassion. Right? When they are able to pitch their mind to a very high level, they actually can manifest. They can manifest into different forms, because out of compassion, they are not reborn, not driven by their karma. It is actually through their aspiration and their compassion. And through the strong aspiration to help sentient beings and their compassion, so they manifest in different forms for individuals according to their needs. So these teachings, all these teachings of the Buddha, Buddha actually taught for 45 years, from the time he was enlightened at the age of 35 until he was 80 years old. So he lived for 45 years, preaching, teaching along the highways and byways of India. Now these teachings are maintained. We are very fortunate to have these teachings. They are still preserved and maintained in the three schools of Buddhism. There is a Theravada school, there's a Mahayana, and the Vajrayana school. All these three schools of Buddhism cater for, they have different methods, they are different skillful means to cater for individuals at different levels of understanding according to their development. According to one's development, one have understanding. So there are individuals, different developments, different understandings, different levels. So they need different teachings there. So at this point, when during this time of crisis, and it is important that we pray that all the great masters, all the great teachers come together to work for the welfare, for the happiness of all. And because what is needed today is not, prayers alone is not enough. It is our action, our compassion, the wisdom and compassion, how we are able to reach out to others in times of need. So, this is what Vesak is about. Vesak, we speak about both the enlightenment and the great passing away of the Buddha. And they are very significant events. They show us clearly how to live a life. Yeah. A peaceful life without resorting to violence. Now, on this occasion of Vesak, it is important that we spread out, we radiate metta, loving kindness to all, extend our goodwill to all, and then we share the merits. We share the merits with all the devas, all the bodhisattvas, all the Dhamma protectors, and we make dedication to all but our departed relatives and friends, And finally, we must make our aspiration. Before we do that, let us meditate just for a few minutes. So wherever you are, just bring your minds within. Bring your attention close to your hearts. And observe the sense of calmness and the sense of quietness within. And just tell yourselves, be well, be well, be well and happy. Just as you wish to be well and happy, you will now spread out loving kindness all around you. Just allow your aura of calm and peace to radiate out above, below, and all around you. And feel the space around you, your whole room, your whole house, and throughout your locality, reaching out to the whole country and beyond this country to all the neighboring countries, all the neighboring islands, covering the whole world and all the realms of existence, known or unknown to us, seen or unseen, that may all beings be well and happy. May they be free from harm, free from dangers. May they dwell in peace and harmony. Fill your hearts with pure love and compassion, and cherish the good wish that all suffering beings be free from suffering. Those in sorrow be free from sorrow. Those in fear and dangers, may they be free from fear and dangers. That may all beings be well and happy. Now, in your wholesome state of mind, share these merits with all the Dhamma protectors, all the devas, and all the guardian deities who have been guiding and protecting you, including the guardian deities of your locality. May they rejoice in these merits, and in so rejoicing, may they give blessings and protection to all. Let us also dedicate these merits for the spiritual well-being and happiness of all our departed relatives, teachers and friends, whoever that comes to your mind. Have good wish for them, that wherever they are born, may they have opportunity to receive Dharma, to be guided to grow in the Dhamma, that will pave the way for them to be released from the cycle of birth and death one day. With all your good thoughts and the merits that you have acquired, please make your wish, make your aspiration, and especially on this Vesak occasion, think in this manner, that whatever merits that you have done, may these merits become a cause, become a support for your enlightenment one day, so that you'll be able to benefit others, whoever that comes by your way. Have this firm, your faith, your devotion in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, whatever problems, whatever difficulties, whatever obstacles that you are facing that has arisen in your life, have faith, have confidence in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, so that you will have the blessings, guidance and protection, and you have the strength. You will have the wisdom, the strength, and the courage to overcome whatever difficulties, whatever obstacles that may arise in your lives, bringing them into the path of your practice, so that you'll be able to swiftly develop your full potentials and accomplish whatever that you need to accomplish in this lifetime. Aspiration for enlightenment is so important during this period. In fact, the aspiration is something that we have to do again and again. And for those people who are cultivating the bodhicitta, it is so important that they cultivate this during this period of time. They remind themselves again and again and again. Because at any time, if anything happens to us, these aspirations, if we have sown this aspiration in our hearts, imprinted in our hearts, this will be just like a GPS. You set out your GPS, it's a direction that it will take you to the direction where your destination, is. So that's the importance of making aspiration on the full moon day of the month of Vesak. So let us conclude with this wish, to make this wish. Just as we wish to be well and happy, all beings wish to be well and happy. There's not a single being in this world that do not want to be well, do not want to be happy. So let us have this generous heart on this occasion of Vesak to wish that may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings have joy and the causes of joy. And may all sentient beings live in harmony, in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. That may all beings be well and happy. Happy Vesak to all. Sadhu.